speeds in excess of 270 miles an hour, covering the quarter-mile distance in less than 6 seconds. Drag racing from the NHRA. The Los Angeles County Fairgrounds in Pomona, California, home of the largest county fair in the world. In fact, the LA County Fair is larger than all but 2 state fairs across the United States. But twice a year, when the fair is not in operation, you find competition of another sort, and the horsepower is generated by those 3,000 horsepower nitromethane-burning engines of championship drag racing. Hello, everybody. I'm Dave McClelland, and welcome to the 22nd annual running of the Winston World Finals. As you can tell by the name, this is the final race of the season where the world champions are crowned. And as we come into this race, this man has had the opportunity to lock up his world championship title for the 2nd year in a row. That is Kenny Bernstein in Funny Car Eliminator. But 2 other racers are still in competition for the world titles. For more on that story, let's go to Steve Evans.
That's correct, Dave. In Top Fuel Eliminator, Big Daddy Don Garlits had to win 1 round of racing today to ice the World Championship. Well, he did it earlier today in round number 1 with a strong 5.40 seconds victory over Gene Snow. Well, that makes it official. Don Garlits becomes the first driver to ever win back-to-back NHRA Top Fuel titles. Congratulations.
I'm glad it's over. Now I can get on with the business of winning this race.
And Garlits could well be on his way to another victory here today. Now, in Pro Stock, it was exactly the same situation. Bob Glidden had to win in the first round to clinch the title over Warren Johnson. He did indeed do that. Glidden was a very happy man. Well, Bob, you've won a lot of world titles, but this one has to be especially sweet because it took such hard work on the part of an entire family. Nothing was ever easy for you this year.
No, Steve, nothing has been easy. But I'll tell you, since the thing in Atlanta, it took us 3 or 4 races to get back running like we thought we should be. And since then, we've been on just a roll, a hot streak. And it's been incredible.
After Atlanta, in your wildest dreams, would you have believed we would be having this conversation right now?
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I think I made the statement to you at an earlier race. There was not a possibility of us winning the Winston World Championship, but it happened.
But the story the fans are following here today is that of the pink car, Shirley Muldowney. It's no secret that team has been struggling. In fact, they didn't even show up at the last race on the circuit. They were home trying to put together a new engine combination. They arrived here, and again, disappointment. The car did not run well in qualifying until the final qualifying shot when Shirley posted a career best of 5.42 seconds and the fastest speed of her career at 267 miles per hour.
Quickest and fastest for me. I'm really proud of that.
The career best?
Career best. My guys are great.
And proving that elapsed time was no fluke, in round number 1 today, Shirley with another 5.42 second elapsed time victory over Earl Whiting. The lady has the consistency that it takes to get back into that winner's circle.
Steve, the former world champion, definitely back on the comeback trail. We're now into 2nd round of Top Fuel eliminations, and what a battle this is. Don Garlits, the man that has already locked up the NHRA Winston World Championship title against his nemesis, Darrell Gwynn, the quickest and fastest drag racer in history. At 25 years of age, Darrell Gwynn finished number 2 to Don Garlits, having won 3 events thus far this season. Garlits, what a story. At the age of 54, as good as he has ever been, as was evidenced by his appearance in the final round of the Krager Weld Wheel Top Fuel Classic yesterday. This brought together the 8 best Top Fuel dragsters in the country. In the final, it was Don Garlits against Joe Amato, and $30,000 went to Don Garlits on that brilliant run as he defeated Joe Amato.
I couldn't tell.
Well, I could tell, and so could our cameras. You won, Don Garlits.
Thank you very much, Steve. It's been a heck of a day.
A 5:39 for you, a 5:35 for him. You just get better.
I got him off the line.
That was yesterday. Now, Garlits must concern himself with Darrell Gwynn in the 2nd round of the NHRA Winston World Championship. Darrell receiving driving instructions from his dad, Jerry, a former world champion during his years behind the wheel. As Garlitz and Gwynn approach the starting line, they concentrate on getting the car positioned properly. There are light beams stretching across the track. They inch the front wheels into those beams. It indicates to starter Buster Couch they're ready, and Garlitz red lights. He leaves too soon. It shifts the win automatically to Darrell Gwynn. That advances Gwynn into the semifinals, but for Don Garlitz, his weekend's over, but what a race it's been. He won the Krager Weld Wheel Classic and $30,000, and most importantly, locked up that coveted National Hot Rod Association Top Fuel World title. The NHRA Winston World Finals is being brought to you by Goodyear. Goodyear Eagles. You either have Goodyear Eagles or you need them. And by Fram Bendix Autolite, which are all quality products of Allied Automotive. At the far end, you know Darrell Gwynn's got to be relieved to be rid of Don Garlitz at the Winston World Finals. Back at the NHRA Winston World Finals in Pomona, California, the innovator Don Garlitz receiving the applause of a huge crowd. Garlitz has been the leader all season. Earlier, Steve had a chance to look at the coming year.
This is the top fuel racer of Larry Minor that was the #1 qualifier here this weekend, but unfortunately for Larry, he blazed the tires in round #1 and got beat. Boy, it feels good to sit in a top fuel car again. I wish I could have applied for the vacancy that existed here. You see, Gary Beck and Larry Minor, after a 7-year association and 1 world championship, have split up. Now, who's going to fill these shoes? Well, Larry Minor thought about Darrell Gwynn and his family operation from Florida, but Kenny Bernstein had already put them under his wing. He'll run a 2-car drag racing team next year. And then it hit him. Driver Dick LaHaye and crew chief daughter Kim. Yep, they'll be in full Larry Minor livery next season. They'll still run their car out of their own little garage in Michigan. But when they come to the races, they'll be under one of these big awnings with one of these big 18-wheelers. So when he goes to look for parts in the trailer, there won't just be a black hole like there has been this year. Now, as far as Gary Beck, Billy Meyer wants to expand and run a top fuel car as well as his funny car. Gary Beck will take the reins of that machine. Now, everybody in Top Fuel seems to be building new cars, and they're all going in a little bit different direction aerodynamically, so it won't be a look-alike Eliminator next year. In fact, Don Garlitz is building a brand new streamliner that he says will look a lot like a child's paper airplane. And in the immortal words of Don Garlitz himself, what is more aerodynamic than a piece of paper that can fly? You might want to rethink that, Big.
Steve, I hope his car works better than your plane. Here's the man that'll be driving for Larry Minor next year. This is Dick LaHaye from Lansing, Michigan. LaHaye racing in round #2 of the NHRA Winston World Finals against Connie Coletta from Ypsilanti, Michigan. Coletta in the first round defeated LaHaye's new boss, Larry Minor, while LaHaye himself beat Denver Shoes. LaHaye's operation is truly a family-run affair. Dad Dick drives the car. His daughter, Kim LaHaye, is the crew chief on the car in the near lane. Coletta has tasted victory on this racetrack. In fact, his first NHRA win came at the Winter Nationals in Pomona way back in 1967. Coletta's got the advantage, but look at LaHaye go to the finish line. LaHaye, by more than a car length, wins the race. His lap time, 5.45 seconds. His speed over 257 miles an hour. Coletta having some problems in the middle of the course, putting him out of the race for the day. Here's Joe Amato. You saw him as lost to Don Garlitz in the Krager Weld Wheel Classic yesterday. Here in round #2 of the NHRA Winston World Finals, he's racing against the streamliner of Gary Ormsby. Amato races out of his home base in Old Forge, Pennsylvania. We'll be in Pennsylvania next season with our ESPN coverage of the Castrol GTX Keystone Nationals from Maple Grove Raceway. In the first round, Joe Amato defeated Dan Pastorini, but hurt the engine and had to change it to get ready to race against the streamliner of Gary Ormsby, who defeated Hank Endres in round #1. What an exotic car of Gary Ormsby. He debuted on this racetrack at the NHRA Winter Nationals earlier this season, has now got the performance level up where he's competitive with any car on the track. And it is Ormsby losing a supercharger. The supercharger explodes and bounces down the track. Amato streaks through to the win, and what a break for him, 5.50 off the pace just a bit. But Ormsby causing serious damage to the car as the supercharger exploded. As we look again, you see in the far lane, Ormsby's car side by side with Joe Amato right off the starting line, but then disaster strikes. The ball of fire indicating the supercharger explosion, and the damage is extensive and very expensive for Gary Ormsby. Not only was there severe engine damage, but the Kevlar body panels also took a bad hit as Gary Ormsby looks over the car and contemplates what to do for next season. On the starting line, Shirley Muldowney receiving the word from her crew, try another burnout, and it looked like it worked. Shirley gets quite a gift here in the second round as her competition, Ed Moore, had problems on his burnout. You can see members of the NHRA Safety Safari right on the scene, helping the crew push the car back to the starting line. The engine is shut off. Ed Moore in the first round defeated longtime veteran Eddie Hill, while Shirley Muldowney topped Earl Whiting. Moore being pushed back into the pit area, his day over, but for Shirley, her chance to advance into the semifinals on a single run. While she cannot be defeated by her competition, you can bet Shirley is going to be trying for a good run because lane choice in the semifinals will be based on the elapsed time of the previous round. And a brilliant 5.42 second elapsed time in her speed, over 267 miles an hour. Shirley Muldowney enjoying her best day at the drags ever in a career that spans over 20 years on the nation's quarter-mile racetracks. That sets up our semifinal bearings. Two former world champions going at it, Shirley Muldowney and Joe Amato, with Shirley having lane choice, and Darrell Gwynn against Dick LaHaye, Gwynn having lane choice. Darrell, of course, the recipient of that red light gift that put Don Garlits out of competition at this NHRA Winston World Final. The between rounds maintenance going on in Gwynn's pit area, the crew concentrating on their tasks, as in just a while, Darrell Gwynn will bring the world's fastest dragster to the starting line.